exec, el exec, el exec. El Vélez, el Vélez, el Vélez. El fenómeno que todos quieren ser. El chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to episode 89 of the Exec Talk. I am your host, Ovalez. A lot to get to, obviously, because of free agency yesterday starting and the legal tampering period where all the deals start to get done, moving and shaking and all that. But we also have to talk about the event that I just went to this past weekend with my dad and my grandpa. We went to the NHRA, GatorNationals in Gainesville. Had a blast there. We want to talk about a little bit of Formula One, about how Verstappen has basically killed all hope for Formula One fans for the 2024 season. And a little NBA news, some injury news, what I think, what is coming down to the wire with these last 15 or so games in the NBA. But first of all, thank you all guys for joining us today. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow me on all my socials. Elvalez _ at IG, the Exec Talk Podcast, NIG. Follow all that, keep updated with all the episodes and everything. But first thing I got to talk about, you see the hat? John Force, 16-time funny car world champion. The shirt from the event, GatorNationals. Absolutely incredible. It's the second time I go to an NHRA event. I went one when I was younger in 2008 to actually the same one. But this time, being a lot older, understanding a lot more. I love the sport. I've always loved the sport. Drag racing is in my blood. Essentially, my dad and my grandpa, uncle, they all like race cars when they were younger. But if you say that you've gone to see drag racing and your seat is not shaking like an earthquake as the cars go by when they take off the line, you haven't seen drag racing. Okay, this is the pinnacle. This is the Formula One of drag racing. NHRA, 22,000 horsepower at the line at the same time in a top fuel dragster or a funny car. And it is something absolutely incredible that you have to see at least once in your life. It's an incredible event, very accessible. You could talk to the drivers. You could take pictures of the cars. I really enjoy it. If you have the need for speed, if you enjoy watching racing of any kind, even if it's like a circuit track, and you want an experience that you can talk to your friends about and everything like that, go to the NHRA drag racing series. They go all over the country. They're going to California in 2 weeks, then Phoenix, then Las Vegas. Then they go to North Carolina. So they're all over the place. This is the one event in Florida, the first one of the season. And it was super, super exciting. It's a long event, 4 days. You got qualifying. You have different classes, not just the top nitro classes, which is top fuel and funny car. You got pro stock, which is a really nice class as well. That all these cars, top fuel, funny car, they go down 1,000 feet in less than 4 seconds at 330 plus miles an hour. So and then pro stock, hits over 200, in the 6 second range. Pro stock motorcycle, which is just like it says, it's pro stock, but on a motorcycle, they make around, they're around the 6 seconds, six and a half range at like 190, 206. And then there's a bunch of other classes, top alcohol, funny car, top alcohol, dragster, sportsman series. So it's a great event. Good merch, as you can see. But I love it. I just wanted to share that with you guys, that if you ever want to actually see drag racing, go to an NHRA event. Okay, moving on to Formula One. After we went to the races, I pulled up Formula One to see the race. And just like last week, Max Verstappen, first corner, and boom, he's gone. Now, this one's a little different because Jeddah is a little bit more high speed. So Verstappen won 7 seconds over Checo. And then Leclerc finished third because Carlos Sainz was not in his Ferrari this week. He had appendicitis. The rookie 18-year-old Oliver Behrman, the Brit from his dad used to be a Ferrari driver back in like early 90s for Formula One, and he did good. He finished seventh in his debut, which is incredible in the points and everything. Ahead of Hamilton, ahead of George Russell. Incredible. The Mercedes was clearly not strong in this track. Lewis and George both kind of struggled a bit, especially in straight line speed department. Not as much as like not as much as McLaren, who were really struggling with straight line speed. But the bottom line is, this race really the excitement was more in the midfield. Nico Hulkenberg had gotten gotten like 20 seconds in penalties. So his teammate, Kevin Magnussen, kept up everybody from 12th on back, slowed him up so that Nico could get points and stay in the points even with the penalties. A lot of battling going on in the midfield and stuff like that. Alpine was horrible again, which is, absolute catastrophe for them and the French team. Other than that, Ferrari looks like they're going to be the strongest challenger so far to Red Bull. Mercedes is trying to figure it out. I think that they're going to take a few races, maybe some upgrades going to take place to try to get a little bit more forward. McLaren, same thing. Aston Martin, Fernando ran well. But they don't have the car to beat Verstappen, because one thing is beating Checo. Checo was 7 seconds behind Verstappen, which is a good showing for him, not 22 like it was last week. But at the same time, if you're in the same car and the guy that's using the same car, your teammate, is 7 seconds ahead of you in the same car, there's clearly a difference in driver skill there. Or they just tailored the car towards Verstappen, which has been known to happen last year and probably this year as well. Other than that, exciting racing from 3 on back. But let's hope that in Australia in a couple of weeks, in Melbourne, we get some solid front row racing. One would hope. In NASCAR's front, Toyota won. They dominated that race. Hendrick was kind of dominating the last few races. That Toyota's not just going to sit idly by to that. And Christopher Bell, I believe, was the one that won this past week's race. Actually, kind of it was kind of dominating fashion, in a sense that the last stage there was a lot of cautions. And there was a lot of flip-flopping of people getting tires, not getting tires, staying out, not staying out, go and get fuel, not get fuel. And the kind of cat and mouse game kind of came to a head when you had people out there on 80-year-old tires, that were about to come off. They had to come into the pits with 20 laps remaining. And then, the people that had pitted just a little bit later had the advantage on tires. But NASCAR season's looking pretty good so far. IndyCar started, St. Petersburg. Joseph Newgarden won, pretty dominant fashion, almost led every lap. Just had a really dominant car. IndyCar looks very exciting this year. St. Pete is kind of tough because it's tough to pass. It's tough to because it's a street circuit. It's in an airport, but it's a street circuit because it just like Jeddah, it has concrete walls on the side, and if you tag them, you're done for the day. So you have to be extra careful. But Joseph Newgarden ran an amazing race, and And shout out to him starting the season with the 24 win after his Indianapolis 500 win last year. He's going for the championship this year, so we'll see how that happens. Penske finished 1, 2, and 4, so it's a wonderful result for them. Penske is dominating. They won in Qatar in the World Endurance Championship last week in that 10-hour race, Penske Porsche. So, Penske's doing really well. Now, let's get to the real meat and potatoes of this episode. Okay, the real meat and potatoes. What is basically gonna take most of this episode is gonna be free agency. Okay, so let's start. Steelers last week. This was 3 days ago. I'm gonna go everything that I've missed so far. Okay, so from oldest to newest. So Patrick Peterson gets released by the Steelers. Considering they have Joey Porter Jr. and they've always been good at finding cornerback talent, I don't see this as a bad thing. We're gonna see later that the Steelers have made some moves, definitely, but for them to get younger on the back end, I don't see that there's a problem. They still have Minka, they have JP Jr. So I don't think that it's a bad thing for them to release Patrick Peterson. He's an 8-time Pro Bowl corner. He's probably going to make it to the Hall of Fame, most likely. And yeah, that's okay. The first signing, not big, but something worth mentioning. The 49ers signed right tackle Colton McKivitz to a 1-year, $7 million extension. Keep that offensive line that worked so well last year. Keep it together. One piece at a time. 1 year, $7 million. $1 for a right tackle. He worked last year. He didn't give up that many sacks. You can get him on the cheap, essentially $7 million a 1 year. Kind of like a prove it deal, but he's been there. So this is kind of like a saving money type of move. Justin Madubuike, big signing. This is one of the big free agents that we were talking about. Went back to the Ravens, like we said that he might. He got a 4-year, $98 million, which includes 75.5 guaranteed and 53.5 fully guaranteed at signing. So when he signs, he gets 53.5 million. It's great. Young pass rusher, led their unit in sacks last year. Keep their leading sack guy there, their menace. If they want to draft somebody, they can. If they want to bring people in from free agency, they can. But they have that piece there for the long term that they don't have to worry about one of those edges that is a key position in the NFL, and it's young. He's a very young player, so that's very good for them. Getting back Justin Madubuike, we're gonna see with the Chiefs later. They also were smart. So some people haven't been smart. Okay, some people have not been smart in free agency. Okay? Some people have been dumb. Okay? Dumb. Bucket of bolts type of dumb. Okay? Some of the things that have happened, I am like speechless about. But we're going to get to those. Eagles has been getting trade talks from Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick. Okay. So Brandon Graham, which is going into his 15th season, Fletcher Cox, shout out, retired after a 13-year great career, Super Bowl champ with the Eagles, and Eagles all-time great. I don't know if he'll get into the Hall of Fame. He's kind of like right there in the Hall of Very Good, Hall of Fame. So I think for me, I watched him play, how dominant he was, how much he affected the interior of that D-line. I would put him in the Hall of Fame. That's just me. But we shall see in 5 to 6 years when he's on the ballot if he makes it to the Hall of Fame. They signed Brandon Graham. He's been playing well, even going into his 15th year. This is the oldest player on this Eagles team, going back to basically Andy Reid's era. Now that Kelsey and Fletcher are gone, he is the backbone of the vets in that organization. They signed him for a 1-year deal. It's pretty good. That just maintained the leadership in there with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, and you have Nolan Smith. You know, keep that veteran leadership at the D line spot, high, so those young players can catch up quickly to the professional game and make more impact. And he still can play. You know, he can still get off the edge and play. Okay, wide receiver. We're looking at a lot of them, but the first one to fall was Browns will send the Broncos will send Jerry Jeudy to Cleveland in exchange for 2 draft picks. So this is a trade. This is not a signing. This is a trade. What do I feel about this? This is kind of like them saying, hey, Deshaun, we're going to give you one last shot. Now, this is kind of like the Elijah Moore signing that they did a couple years ago. Does it really do anything? Like, are you sitting there and you're like, oh my God, Amari Cooper, David Njoku, and Jerry Jeudy? You would think that if, and hopefully Nick Chubb healthy and ready to go, you would think that if Jerry Jeudy was this amazing pro, and has been an amazing pro, but he's had injury. He's been this. Coming out of Alabama and high school, as touted as one of the greatest route runners Alabama has ever seen, and going into the NFL, highly drafted, and not producing at the level of a number 1 receiver when that was what you were said to be coming out. Now, was it quarterback play? Yeah, I mean, you had Drew Lock, Marcus Simeon. You had horrible doesn't even begin to explain your quarterback situation. So I get that. But at the same time, if you're that guy and not a jag, shout out to Steve Smith Sr., that's what he called him. He's just a jag, just a guy. If he wants to remove that tag away from him, he's going to have to get with Amari Cooper, his Alabama brethren, and also Alabama legend that came before him. And hopefully Amari and Jerry could get on a page where they can both do outside things. Amari, of course. Amari's an all-pro receiver. But he has to teach Jerry how to win at the top of his route, on top of his stem. And Deshaun has to show that, hey, we gave you $230 million. Can you show us that you're worth it, please? Because right now we're like this since we gave you that contract. So, if you can't get back to that Houston level with these weapons right here, Njoku, Nick Chubb, Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper, we got a problem. Okay, we got a problem because we have the defense to win the Super Bowl, but the offense is definitely sputtering. So, okay, let's get to Chris Jones. Chris Jones, 5 years with the Chiefs, 5 years, making him the second highest paid defensive player in NFL history behind Nick Bosa, and first all time in D tackles passing Aaron Donald, I believe. He will be he signed a 5-year 100 and actually have the deal here. 5 years, $32 million per year, so it's higher than Aaron Donald. Okay, because Aaron Donald's at right now, he's at 31.6, so he's $400,000 more per year higher than Aaron Donald. Okay, this is what they needed to do. We talked about this. Shout out to the Chiefs, knowing what it takes, knowing who your players are. We're gonna get to a team that don't know who their players are. Okay, this is how you want to say three-peat, something that's never been done before. This is how you start. You keep the guys that have taken you there in the first place. And he is by far the second best D tackle in the world behind Aaron Donald. And if you look in the last 2 years, he has a very high case to be number one. Bar none. Disrupts inside, can stop the run, can get you sacks, can go outside, very flexible, stand up, hand on the ground, spin move, power to speed to power. Everything you want, and a smart genius of a player. Okay? Anything you want from a D tackle, Chris Jones gives that to you and more. This is absolutely deserved. He held out one game last year, hoping for a deal like this. He puts in another Super Bowl championship season where he did great. Now they give him the deal. Now you understand why they L'Jarius Sneed. You're like, Chris Jones. You know, you need that guy in the middle. We're going to see a team, Miami Dolphins, that don't understand value. But we'll get to that. So, 32 per year. The first $95 million are essentially guaranteed. The whole deal is he gets $60.2 million guaranteed over the first 2 years and $95.3 practically guaranteed over the first 3 years. Okay, $158.75 million for 5 years. 31.75 per year average, highest in NFL history, well deserved. Good job, Kansas City. Good job. Now, let's get to the ending of an era. Okay? Mac Jones is officially done as an NFL starter. Officially. No, I do not think it's going to be a competition in the Jaguars. Trevor is that guy, and he will show it this year. But you need a competent backup, not a CJ Beathard, somebody that can probably drive the ball down the field in a system with an offensive coach. He had success in his rookie year, making it to a Pro Bowl. So if there is any hope for Mac Jones to revive his career after the 2 shitty-ass seasons that he just had in the Patriots, where his offensive coordinator was a defensive coordinator and a special teams coach, and this past year, he had 0 weapons. I mean, he had literally like the bottom of the tool shed where you got shit that's broken and shit. That's what you got to play with out there. As a backup with the Jaguars behind Trevor Lawrence, I don't see that this is a bad move for the Jaguars as it pertains to their backup quarterback situation. Now, let's look at how the Patriots mismanaged a top pick, okay? They picked Mac Jones in the first round at the 15th pick. They just traded him for a bag of balls and a box of gum, okay? Some Big League Chew, that's exactly what they traded him for. A 6th-round pick. For a 15th pick 3 years ago. You want to talk about devaluing? You want to talk about like an absolute loss on investment? That is not ROI. That is LOI. Loss on investment. Okay? You get back a bag of balls and Big League Chew. Good job. Also, good job to the Jaguars for being that, having the balls to just offer that. Just a 6th-round pick for Mac Jones. And the Patriots were like, oh, I guess that's what he's worth. Can't get nothing else for him. You know? So shout out to them. Fletcher Cox retired. Excellent career. They're going to have to, I think this makes Jordan Davis and Jalen clearly the two guys in the middle because they lost Javon Hargrave last year to the 49ers. So they had a place for Fletcher and maybe Jalen or maybe Jordan. Now it's going to be both of them. Going to be a hell of a D line in the middle there for the Eagles for much years to come. The Jets are bringing back Chuck Clark. Remember, he came from the Ravens last year on a big deal, and then tore his ACL in OTAs was supposed to be their number one safety, one of their number one safeties. And so he's brought back on a 1-year deal, probably a prove-it deal. If he's healthy, they'll probably pay him in the offseason. Who knows? Pretty good for them to keep the back end kind of solid with Whitehead. And he's a really good safety. I sometimes forget because I'm going through players in my head so much. So the Panthers, the terrible Panthers, are looking to rebuild around Bryce Young. So they released their center, Bradley Bozeman. He has 77 career starts. And he will find a home somewhere because somebody needs a center. Okay, not every center's good. Okay, not saying that he is, but he's probably better than some centers out there. Just saying. Okay. 160. We're talking about Chris Jones. Okay, the big news. The bomb. The big, huge bomb that people think is going to change the landscape of the AFC North. Russell Wilson signing a 1-year deal. Actually, yeah, he signed a $1.2 million. Remember, Broncos released him and took the $85 million cap hit. $38 million this year cap hit. And he can sign with anybody else and play at the league minimum, which is 1.2. That's exactly what he's doing. He's going to the Steelers, where Arthur Smith runs a run-heavy, play-action offense, not like Sean Payton, where it's like, 3-stretch drop, ball out. That's the type of quarterback he wanted. Now, let's talk about this for the Steelers. This is a prove-it year for Russell to try to revive his career in a Kurt Warner-ish type way when he went to the Cardinals. Also, this also might be a prove-it year for Mike Tomlin. This might be a prove-it year for Najee Harris. Deontay Johnson's on the market. He has George Pickens. Now, everybody's talking about, it's going to be a quarterback competition against him and Kenny Pickett. No. They brought in Russell Wilson because he's a cheap, possible top 10 quarterback if in the right system. That's why they brought in Russell Wilson. They didn't bring in Russell Wilson to compete with Kenny Pickett. It's going to look like a competition. Mike T is going to make it seem like a competition in OTAs and training camp. But we all know what's happening here. Kenny Pickett was overdrafted, 20th pick in the first round, when he was graded to be a third-round pick by most analysis. And in the NFL, what have we seen? Kind of like a third-round pick. Now, he hasn't gotten developed in any shorter way. There was no Ben Roethlisberger to teach him the ropes. There was none of that. Okay? Matt Canada was horrible. Now, also, you got some frustrated receivers, too. He's not giving the ball to George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, or Deontay Johnson on a regular basis. Mason Rudolph did more of that. But overall, I like Russ. I've always liked Russ since he came out of Wisconsin and got drafted and won the Super Bowl with the Seattle. I love Russ as a quarterback, and I want to see him succeed. But, man, for the Steelers to put a hope of a possible division championship and deep playoff success, banking on the defense to be as good as it's always been, and then hoping to God that Russell Wilson finds the magic again of Seattle and makes them a, let's say, semi-functional offense. Semi-functional means 15th or better. There's some downfalls, but, you know, you're going to get some 20 to 24 points out of that offense with that defense. They can win a lot of games, but I just don't think that they can make it to the promised land, which is what Steelers always talk about, getting Banner number 6 and Lombardi number 7 and Banner number 7. To, you know, I don't think that this move will cause that. And I don't even think this move will win them the division. I think Joe Burrow comes with a vengeance next year. I think Lamar comes with a vengeance next year. We still got to see what Deshaun's going to do. So overall, this move to me, this is a 5. Okay, this is a straight C. B minus. B minus, because it's an improvement from Kenny Pickett, no doubt. But you're kind of banking on some luck here. You're banking on some wishing. You're wishing for a prayer to happen. And it can, and I have confidence that he can, but at the same time, I think the funniest thing about this whole deal is that the Broncos are paying $38 million of his salary. That's hilarious for the next 2 years, which is crazy. So he's playing on the league minimum while another team is paying him $38 million. Okay? The Denver will pay him $37.8 million, which is insane. He's going to play for $1.2 million getting paid from the Steelers. Okay? Next is Eric Armstead. They attempted to restructure his contract. It failed. Now they plan to release him. This is big. Okay, this is big. This is something we weren't talking about because, you know, the big fishes, Chris Jones and Christian Wilkins and, you know, Matabike. But Eric Armstead has been a fixture along with Nick Bosa in that defense. This guy's a monster. It used to be Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner before he went to the Colts, and the third guy on the outside, the other pass rusher, Omenihu, before he went to the Chiefs. My bad. So releasing him, I wonder what his market's gonna be. That hasn't come down that he's gotten signed yet. Okay, so whoever gets him, Miami, please, I beg you, you just let go of Christian Wilkins. I think that Eric Armstead would be a nice shoe in there. Just saying. You let go of a guy who they just paid top of the line money to. I think that it would be very nice for you to go get Eric Armstead. That's just me. You guys have the connection with the 49ers because of McDaniels. I could see maybe something happening there. No sources, no news. That's just me, you know, talking out of my ass, but with a little bit of insight into how McDaniels kind of picks his players. Kendrick Bourne got hurt last year. Torn ACL. Was the number one receiver for the Patriots and Mac Jones last year. He's re-signing for 3 years, $33 million. Listen, if this is your number one in a division with Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Garrett Wilson, I really don't see the Patriots going anywhere this year again. Okay? Every move that I've seen the Patriots do, it just does not compute to wins for me. Okay? I don't understand what is so tough about getting actual talent at the positions you need. Really, really good talent in this league to succeed. Not counting the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they have Travis Kelce, which is kind of an outlier. Okay, Rashee Rice is pretty good. But Kendrick Bourne is your number one receiver? Guess who's on the other side, bro? In the AFC, let's just name them out. In the AFC, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley. For now, because he might be leaving the Jaguars. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. I mean, the list goes on and on. Davante Adams with the Raiders. I mean, Jerry Jeudy now with the Browns. Cortland Sutton with the Broncos. Even though he might be leaving, there's talks there. They might be leaving. You know, when you look at the AFC just receiver wise, your Kendrick Bourne is your number one receiver. That doesn't tell me that you're trying to win. Okay, and I know I missed a lot. Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman. I know I missed a ton, and Michael Pittman. I'm trying to make my point, saying like if you're the Patriots and your number one receiver, the guy that you're banking everything on to be your number one and win outside, is Kendrick Bourne. Just saying, if you pick a quarterback at number 3, it looks like he's still not gonna have no help, and he's gonna be in the same Mac Jones problem. That's just me. Bobby Wagner. He's expected to test the market. Coming off a career-high 103 tackles. This guy's a first-ballot Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, the leader of the Legion of Boom. Somebody's going to pay him. If not, the Seattle Seahawks will bring him back. Even though it is unlikely, it's viewed as unlikely, according to Ian Rappaport, that he does return to the Seahawks. I get that. You know, they're trying to go younger. They got rid of Quandre Diggs. They got rid of Jamal Adams. So I get it. They're trying to go a lot younger. But still, that is the leader of that franchise once Russ left. And even when Russ is there, I mean, when you talk about anybody with the Seahawks, especially on the defensive side of the ball, the leader of that franchise, of that locker room, has always been Bobby Wags. It's going to be a tough loss. If they lose him, he's still playing at all-pro level, which is incredible. Well, he's a first-ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt, one of the greatest linebackers of all time. But we'll see where he goes. I'm not gonna speculate, but I think that would thrive in like the Commanders, bringing some leadership. If I'm being honest, the Cowboys bringing some leadership, some defense leadership at that middle linebacker position. He's a genius as well. I want to say the Dolphins, but I don't think we would go old at linebacker. I think we want to stay young. But there's a lot of teams. He also, for thinking about Gerard Mayo, he also seems to me like a guy that the Patriots would kind of like test the waters on. But other than that, I think he might stay in the NFC. Somebody's going to pay him. Somebody will pay him. The Packers released DeAndre Campbell. Their linebacker. They're trying to go younger as well. They have not Wyatt. Wyatt's on the on the line. Quez Walker. They have Quez from Georgia. He's going to be probably slot in as their middle linebacker. They get younger. Devondre Campbell can still tackle. Played well. They're basically saving salary cap with his release. So we'll see what happens with Devondre Campbell. Nothing has come down yet for his signing either. We bring back Dolphins bring back Robert Jones, our offensive lineman. We bring him back on a 1-year deal. So that's good. Even though we're gonna see that we lost some stuff that we should have lost, but I digress. The Raiders paid Andre James 3 years. He and they made a deal. He's gonna get paid $24 million for the next 3 years with $16 million guaranteed. Hey, listen. The thing about the Raiders is they're kind of ambiguous team, right? Because Antonio Pierce, we think that he's a good coach. And there was some flashes last year at the end of the season that they were kind of turning the corner or getting close to. So, you know, keeping the same offensive line to some extent, their center, which played pretty well last year, I think is a good signing. It's a good signing for them. Another big big, big signing that we were expecting because of how talks were going, how both sides talk about each other and wanting to stay together. Remember that we said that Baker Mayfield might get like the Geno Smith type of contract? Well, Baker Mayfield signs a 3-year deal worth $100 million with a $15 million guarantee to the Tampa Bay Bucks. He gets a long-term deal. They get to build around him. Mike Evans still there. Chris Godwin still there. They have to rebuild the defense a little bit. They still got Antoine Winfield, but that D-line has to get a little younger. With Shaq Barrett getting up there in age and everything, we'll see how Devontae David does this year. They still have Devin White, but it's good for them. I think it gives them a very good shot in that division. Considering what we're going to talk about a little bit later, I think it'll be between two teams because the Saints haven't really done anything. So I think it's going to be between Tampa and Atlanta. But we'll talk about why Atlanta's up there now, as we know, a little bit later when we get into that deal. So he gets $30 million year one. This is Baker. Another $10 million in 2025, fully guaranteed at signing, plus $10 million for injury that will become fully vested next year. Okay, so very nice deal for Baker and teams. The salary kind of fluidish, doesn't pinhole them. If they see a quarterback in the future, maybe in the next few drafts, like an Archie Manning, or they want to go get Joe Milton or whoever is at the top of the draft, or even they want to trade up, or in the mid rounds. If they want to take a quarterback, they definitely can and develop him, because unless Baker is absolute superstar level to basically win himself another long contract, they give themselves the flexibility to possibly veer off that path with this contract. Same thing as the Seahawks did with Geno Smith last year. But very good for both sides. Very good for both sides. Congratulations to Baker resurrecting his career after the debacle in Cleveland. Okay. Kevin Byard, the former Titan, All-Pro, turned Eagle, got released. He signed a 2-year deal with the Bears. Bears have been making so many moves. We kind of all know that they're going Caleb Williams number one. I think it's all but said and done at this point. They give Kevin Byard a 2-year deal, $15 million deal. Good safety. Didn't have his best year last year, so he's definitely looking for a bounce back. I think he was all pro, ball hawkish, kind of like Justin Simmons from Broncos, and a Bates from Atlanta, really good. But overall, it's just a good signing. It's nothing breaking the bank. You're taking a kind of flyer on a person. He's still kind of young-ish. I think he's like 31-ish. So you still have some good value there. And 2 years, $15 million, I think is pretty good for Kevin Byard. Shout out to the Bears. Okay. Teron Armstead we're retaining him. Okay, we're retaining him. He is expected to return for the 2024 season. I like that because we do need a left tackle. Obviously, we need to protect Tua. They're working to finalize on an adjusted contract. It's not done yet. but they hope that it'd be finalized soon. Okay? It's a huge lift for us because we have lost a lot of people, and we will get to that. The Jaguars have reached an agreement with Brandon Scherf with a fully that will fully guarantee the All-Pro guard's salary this season, which is good. They added 3 voidable years to his contract, saved the Jaguars around $5 million in the salary cap this year, which is pretty good. And you keep, at least for one more year, you keep a really, really, really good guard, former Super Bowl champion with the Kansas City Chiefs, to protect the interior line of Trevor Lawrence. Very good. Mac Jones has a fifth year option of $25.6 million. The Jaguars will eventually decline it, and he'll become an unrestricted free agent next season, which makes sense. You know, he's in a backup role. You know, it's not to put pressure on Trevor. This is just a backup role to have him in contingency if Trevor gets hurt last year, like he did. Only missed 1 game, but if Trevor, gets those nicks and bruises and everything, you could put in Mac Jones, and with the Doug Peterson system, should be somewhat successful and keep you in games. So this doesn't surprise me. I wouldn't think that the Jaguars would want to pick up that 5th year option anyway. With that, the 2021 draft class, Trevor Lawrence is the only one starting for the Jaguars. Everybody else has been traded or is likely to be traded. Okay, Zach Wilson, Jets are trying to trade him. Trey Lance traded to the Cowboys. Justin Fields likely to be traded. Mac Jones traded to the Jaguars. Yeah, that 2021 class, it was a question mark going in besides Trevor Lawrence. Still a question mark 3 years later. Okay, the Lions are re-signing Glasgow. That's very good. Graham Glasgow, really good guard. 3-year, $20 million. That includes $9.5 million guaranteed. That's very, very, very good value for a guy who is playing at his best right now in Detroit for that Detroit Lions offensive line. The Jaguars are signing Mitch Morse, former Bill, 2 years, $10.5 million, beefing up that interior offensive line for Trevor Lawrence. You saw that they kept Brandon Scherf, right next to him at the center spot. You get Mitch Morse, a guy that's proven, been in the playoffs, as a dog. Very good signing at a good value for the Jacksonville Jaguars, because they have to protect Trevor. They need Trevor to have those big numbers, and if you can't protect them, it's just like the Justin Herbert problem. Before free agency and extension, the Colts are signing Zaire Franklin to a 3-year, $31.26 million extension. That's good. They were kind of in limbo with Darius Leonard, I believe his name is Darius Leonard now, not Shaq Leonard. I think it was Shaq Leonard before. So with Leonard. They were in limbo with him because of the injuries and the ankle, the back. Zaire played great this year. Get him down. He's your starting middle linebacker. I think led the league in tackles this year. So really good re-signing for an extension for the Colts, keeping their mid-level defensive continuity as best as they can. Him and EJ Speed, they even have a podcast together. So keeping them together is a really good it's a good thing for the Colts, and shout out to the Colts for doing that. The final numbers on the Chiefs deal for Chris Jones is 5 years, $158.75 million base, including $101 million in guarantees. He gets a $30 million signing bonus, and the first 2 years guaranteed. And his 2026 base salary guarantees in 2025. Okay. Another big story coming out of free agency. T. Higgins has requested a trade. Okay, has requested a trade. Why? They have not talked to him since they put the tag on him. This is the problem with the franchise tag. This is why players hate it. They put the tag on him and then they don't talk to him about an extension. So their full purpose for putting the tag on you was to keep you at a lower number than your market value for another year and not have you get to market. Now, at the same time, this is risky for the team because if he balls out, he's going to demand even more money than he's demanding now next year. But because of the tag, the team has all the leverage. They don't have to talk to nobody for trades or anything like that. He's on the tag, and he even if he's unhappy, he'll play on the tag. But he did ask for a trade, so that's going to be very interesting how that goes down. For Joe Burrow, I promise you that he's in there trying to talk them into paying him because he wants T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. There's very little competition between. It's probably, if you think about the duos in the NFL, like the real, like unguardable ones, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I believe that JJ, Jeddah's, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison will be up there this next upcoming year, going into Jordan Addison's second year. And AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, like those three groups are absolutely basically unguardable. So I think that overall, but Joe Burrow will be in there. Jamar Chase is going to plead his case, even though he wants his money next year as well. So I think that overall T. Higgins might be moved, but I think that he's not. Joe Burrow is not going to lose him without a fight. The Jets signed Greg Zuerlein, 2 years, $8.4 million. Pretty good for a kicker. Greg the Leg. You need him in that type of windy weather and cold weather. Good signing for the Jets. Dawson Knox have agreed to rework the contract with the Bills. It lessens his 14.4 cap hit this year. And that's good for them because they need to get under the cap. They're not under the cap right now, and everybody needs to be under the cap by tomorrow, Wednesday. And the biggest team that needs to be under the cap is the Miami Dolphins, just so you guys know. We're last in the cap hit department. So we're going to have to, that's why we've lost a lot of players that we need. We still got to pay our quarterback too. So T. Higgins requesting a trade, that's kind of iffy for the Bengals, but like I said, they keep all the leverage. So, for a receiver like that who is going to demand $25 million type of money or more because he knows he's a number one, his numbers prove it, alongside Jamar Chase, it's going to be tough to keep. But like I said, if he requested a trade, I would not be surprised if the Cowboys, if the Chiefs, if the Bills are in those talks. Okay? Maybe the Raiders are in those talks. Okay? But we'll see what happens there. Okay, the Chargers, they're $21 million over the cap. They'll have to. They already cut. We'll talk about what the Chargers did a little bit later because it pertains to this. Because Mike Williams has a $32 million cap hit. Keenan has a $34 million cap hit. Joey has $36 million cap hit. And Khalil Mack has a $38 million cap hit. None of those things have. None of those players have moved to this point. They have. Another player has moved. Another big part of their offense has moved, but it wasn't a release. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And they signed somebody for that position already. So we'll talk about that as I'm going through the thread of everything. McLaughlin, the kicker, Chase McLaughlin, he signs a 3-year deal with the Bucks, so they got their kicker for the long term. Landon Dickerson for the Eagles, he signs a 4-year extension, keeping the Pro Bowl guard and one of the best guards in the league, if not the best guard in the league, long term in the Eagles to protect Jalen Hurts. Very good, very 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 good. The deal for Chase McLaughlin for the Bucks is a 3-year, $12.3 million deal, so pretty good for the kicker. The deal for Landon Dickerson is 4 years, $84 million base, $87 million max value. He gets $50 million total guaranteed and $20 million signing bonus. He's the highest paid guard in NFL history at $21 million per year. Shout out Landon Dickerson. Shout out to the Eagles getting that done. You keep Jalen Hurts happy, keeping his line somewhat together after Kelsey's retirement. They still got to find a center, but they have the same 4 that led one of the best offensive lines last year. 84 million, 87, 50, 20 at signing, APY $20 million per year. The Colts finally do something smart with their wide receivers. Michael Pittman, they finalize a deal. The deal is 3 years, $70 million, can reach up to 71.5. He gets $46 million guaranteed. Gets paid like a number 1 receiver, as he should. He is their best target. Essentially, this is what they needed, because if not, they would have to go find one. And they could have maybe gone out and maybe tested the waters for a T. Higgins and everything like that. But rather than run the risk, you drafted Michael Pittman out of USC. He's a homegrown talent. You bring him back, and you keep Anthony Richardson, number 1 receiver, with his young quarterback for the foreseeable future. So very, very, very good for the Colts there. Very good. The Bears sign DeAndre Swift, the Eagles running back, to a 3-year, $24.5 million deal, including $15.3 guaranteed. Pretty good for a running back. The Bears, stacking up for Caleb Williams, understandably so. DeAndre Swift is a great out the backfield catch back, can hit the hole, is a home run threat, can break tackles as well, can shake. Very, very good for a rookie quarterback to have a running back that he can trust in, and also that can take a lot of burden off of him because he can break out big runs and make big plays in the passing game as well. Demario Davis signs for 2 years, $17.25 million, includes $13.25 million guaranteed. He signs with the Saints. They keep him there. He's probably going to retire a Saint. He's an all-time Saint. He's considered one, so I expect him to stay a Saint for a while. 2 years, $17.25, $13.25 guaranteed. Pretty good for a linebacker, especially an aging one. The 49ers re-signed Brandon Allen as their backup to Brock Purdy. The Cardinals are signing Sean Murphy Bunting, so he goes right back to the Cardinals after playing in Tennessee. He gets 3 years, $17.4 million. He goes back to the team that drafted him, I believe. And good for Rich Gannon to get a cornerback that he can depend on that defense. The Texans signed Jeff Okudah from the Atlanta Falcons. $4.7 million, $2.5 million guaranteed, 1-year deal. Another prove-it deal for Jeff Okudah. I guess he didn't show enough in Atlanta to merit a full-time big deal. Another prove-it year with the Texans, a good team with Derek Stingley on the other side. He should be able to thrive there. Devontae Parker got released finally. Mr. No Separation. Mr. No Separation, finally gets released from the Patriots. I don't think that he's gonna sign anywhere, to be honest. And if he does, it's gonna be with a garbage ass team. Ain't nobody want a receiver that don't separate. Maybe a team that has already a separator and needs a big, catch radius, throw the ball up 50-50 type of receiver. But then again, Devontae Parker's hurt all the time, so I don't think that he's going anywhere. The Panthers, speaking of Dolphins losing people, the Panthers pay $100 million to the guard Robert Hunt. We lose our starting guard that played amazingly well last year, especially in the run. I don't understand. This is why we're paying Tua. We're paying Tua not to protect him. I love it. I absolutely love it. $100 million for a guard. That's incredible. Guard pay is going up. The Falcons are expected to sign Charlie Warner, the tight end from the 49ers. 3 years, $12 million. Hey, he was a good draft pick. Sitting behind George Kittle. You might have a diamond in the rough here, Atlanta, but at the same time you have Kyle Pitts. So I don't know if you're, when we get to your quarterback move, but maybe a backup to Kyle Pitts, because I know that your quarterback, the new one, is going to want to throw to I don't know if he even's going to be number 8, but we'll get to that. So the deal is 5 years, $100 million, $63 million guaranteed for Robert Hunt to sign with the Panthers. They bring in a guard so they can start protecting Bryce Young. Dave Canales wants a good offensive line. Hey, beautiful move for the Panthers. I think that overall it's kind of a loss for the Dolphins. I mean, we can draft one, but we need edge help. We need D tackle help now. Like, yes and no, basically, to me. Like, it's just like, damn, like, we lost Robert Hunt. Now we got to find another guard for Tua. I don't like it as a Dolphins fan, but shout out to the Panthers and Dave Canales making some moves to protect Bryce Young and showing that they believe in him and they want to be successful with him. Now, what have we lost, Dolphins fans? Christian Wilkins, Robert Hunt, Xavier Howard, Andrew Van Ginkel, Brandon Jones, Jerome Baker, Emmanuel Ogbah, Keon Crossan. A lot more defense than offense, but we lost our best guard. Well, one offensive player we lost. Our best guard. So offensively, we haven't lost a lot, but still, the guard position and the way he was playing it was really good. But we lose our number one defensive player in Christian Wilkins. Our second best corner in Xavier Howard. Yes, he's old. I understand. Okay, I get it. But at the same time, we need a corner unless Sean Smith is going to be good after his horrible rookie year last year. Andrew Van Ginkel, needed to keep him. Needed to keep that ball of energy. He could get after the quarterback. He's fast. I like Andrew Van Ginkel. Brandon Jones played really good safety for us. That means we need Javon Holland and who? You get what I'm saying? Who's back there? Jerome Baker, that was our starting middle linebacker. Now we need a starting middle linebacker. We just signed one. We'll get to it. We just signed one, but I don't think he's going to play middle linebacker. Emmanuel Ogbah, outside linebacker, another guy who could get to the quarterback. He's on the old side, so I get getting rid of him, but with the injuries that we have on that line, I don't like it. And then we get rid of another cornerback, Keon Crossan. So we need depth at the cornerback position. Bilal Nichols, the D tackle from the Raiders, has reached a 3-year, $21 million, $14.4 million guaranteed with the Arizona Cardinals. Rich Gannon needs big bodies in there to stop the run. That was their biggest weakness last year, is stopping the run. They need some big boys in there. Bilal Nichols will do the job there. So shout out to Arizona Cardinals on a good signing and good value. Blake Cashman, to the Vikings from the Texans, the linebacker. 3 years, $25.5 million. The Vikings are trying to get younger at the linebacker position. I like it. I like the move. I like Blake Cashman. I liked him at the Texans. He played really well in that D'Amico Ryans defense. So I expect and he was also a Minnesota Gopher in college. So now going back to Minnesota, it's going to be a nice homecoming for him. Really good signing for the Vikings. The Colts are signing Tyquan Lewis, the edge. Good signing, good backup edge to have there. Develop him. That's good. Aaron Jones got released. Why? Why did Green Bay release Aaron Jones? Aaron Jones got released because they signed Josh Jacobs. Okay? They signed Josh Jacobs. We'll get to that deal in a little bit. But the big deal that we were talking about, Atlanta, right? So the two teams that were in the market for Kirk Cousins were Minnesota Vikings, his team, that said that they wanted him. And Atlanta had been particularly in the weeds the last week. Hints here and there that they were looking for schools and houses and stuff like that. His wife is from there, went to UGA, University of Georgia at Athens, the Bulldogs. So he signs with the Falcons. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts must be overjoyed that they finally get a quarterback that can literally pass them the ball. I think that Drake London's going to become a superstar with Kirk Cousins. I think Kyle Pitts is going to become a way better player than people think he is right now. And I think Bijan is going to be very happy to have some holes to run through with Kirk Cousins as his quarterback and him putting fear into the defense of the play action game. They gave him a 4-year, $180 million, including $100 million guaranteed, $45 million per year. That means Minnesota had a number that they could not go over. Why? Justin Jefferson. They could not risk paying Kirk off an Achilles $45 million a year if it put in jeopardy losing the number one receiver in the league. They just couldn't do it. Their draft position allows them to draft Bo Nix, Michael Penix, if they want to move up to try to get J.J. McCarthy, because I don't think that J.J. falls. Right now it's looking like J.J. might not fall out of the top 10, even though the Falcons were at number 8 and were a threat to go get him. And they're still a threat to go get him because even though you get Kirk Cousins a 4-year deal, Kirk could be bad on the Achilles. You have J.J. McCarthy, but I think that they are good with Kirk. They're not going to draft J.J., and the Vikings and the Broncos are going to be fighting for the services of J.J. McCarthy in the draft. Shout out to Atlanta, making a move. Raheem Morris, knowing that he needs a quarterback to make this thing go, making him the immediate favorite in that division. Them and Tampa, I think, are the biggest two threats because I think Kirk and Baker right now are better than Derek Carr. Carolina's a question mark, still a big one, but right now I will take Atlanta in that division as we see the landscape of their weapons and having Kirk Cousins. Now, he's coming off the Achilles. He's progressing fine, but it's still a question mark coming off an Achilles, especially being a quarterback. Sam Darnold is expected to go to the Vikings, and they did sign him. I'll give you the details on that later. So Sam Darnold being linked to the Vikings is interesting because then that means that they're either going to try to develop him alongside their young quarterback that got hurt last year. I forgot his name, the guy from BYU. Jaren Hall. Along Jaren Hall, and it depends what's going to happen with Nate Mullins as well. I don't think that they're going to, give him the starting job or anything, but are they going to keep him is the question. I don't think so. Overall, I do not believe so. Okay? So, the former Dolphins, Andrew Van Ginkel, has agreed to terms of 2-year deals with the Vikings. So, at least he's out of the AFC, but the Vikings are stocking up on that defensive side of the ball because they know that their offense is pretty potent. They just need that quarterback. And Kevin O'Connell with a Sam Darnold, I think, could unlock Sam Darnold in a Jared Goff-ish type of way because of his offense. And he's an offensive coach. But he couldn't beat out Brock Purdy so in the 49ers, so we'll see. But they give him a 2-year deal, $20 million, $14 million guaranteed. Shout out Andrew Van Ginkel. Got paid. I think he's going to make an impact this year more than he did last year. But shout out Van Ginkel. Kirk is getting $50 million to sign. Just for the signature, 50 M's. It's insane, bro. That guy is a hell of a businessman, has made over $230 million over his career, mostly on 1-year deals. This is like one of the first long-term deals that he's gotten because he's lived by the 1-year deal, for the last 2, 3, 4 years in Minnesota. And if he plays out all of these 4 years, his career earnings will pass $400 million, which is incredible. Absolutely incredible. The Packers fail, or basically, I think his contract ran out. But John Runyon Jr., their guard, the former Packers guard, he signs with the Giants, a 3-year, $30 million year. He started 50 games over his 4 years in the Packers. It's pretty good. 17 times, it's pretty good. But the Giants need help on the offensive line. They can't keep a nosebleed blocked up. They were the worst running offensive line last year, or near the bottom, which is why Saquon, we'll get to later where he goes. But this is good for them to establish a run game and be able to run the ball and pass the ball. But at quarterback, it's still Daniel Jones, and maybe they're drafting somebody at 6, J.J. McCarthy. We don't know. But to get some protection and some run blocking in the interior is very good value for John Runyon. He gets $17 million guaranteed at signing. John Runyon does, so pretty good. All right. So after years of everybody thinking Saquon's going to get paid, Saquon's not going to get paid. Saquon's going to get paid, Saquon's not going to get paid. The one person that said was not going to pay big on running back pays big on running back. Why? Because of the talent. Howie Roseman and the Eagles pay Saquon 3 years, $37.75 million, with an upside of $46.75 million. Finally, Saquon has a team that he can actually run, and he's not the focal point. The focal point is Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Javonte Smith. But him, with his talent, he can have a Christian McCaffreyan type of impact on that offense. And I love it for the Eagles. This immediately, to me, makes them the favorite in the NFC East if they weren't already. This shores up their backfield completely. They don't have to do it by committee, but if they want to, just to keep Saquon healthy, they can. This is a home run hitter, a guy that can run in between the tackles. The Giants had one of the worst run block win rates last year. Number 1 was the Eagles last year. So he's going to be able to run through some holes, and I expect a big year from Saquon Barkley. All-time talent, now has to just show in this new team and this new era of his career that he is that guy. Still young, 26 years old. I think he's going to ball out this year. Shout out Saquon. Shout out the Eagles for coming on that and taking him away from the Giants in the same division, which is insane. A player like that. Okay, $26 million is fully guaranteed at signing. So he makes a good buck of money and doesn't feel like he's getting shortchanged. The Jaguars are signing Will Lutz to a 3-year deal. The Commanders are signing Dorrance Armstrong, the Cowboys' former edge, to a 3-year deal worth $45 million. So the Commanders are trying to set up the edge again after getting rid of Chase Young and Montez Sweat last year. So I think that, and of course he's going to Dan Quinn, which was his defensive coordinator at the Cowboys. So he was a favorite of his. He brought him over. Okay. So yesterday it was Josh Jacobs to the Packers, Christian Wilkins to the Raiders, Bryce Huff to the Eagles. We're going to get to that. Very, very big edge signing for the Eagles. Jonah Jackson to the Rams, the guard. Gabriel Davis to the Jaguars to add some verticality to that passing game. Because they might lose Calvin Ridley or will lose Calvin Ridley and then put him up with Kirk and maybe draft somebody. Darnell Savage to the Jaguars from the Packers, the safety. Tyler Biadasz from the Cowboys to the Commanders. So Dan Quinn steals another Cowboy within the division. A very good center in Tyler Biadasz. And then Colby Parkinson to the Rams within the division as well. Coming from Seattle. But we're going to get into these deals, right? Bryce Huff, $51.1 million deal, 3 years with the Eagles. This is absolutely incredible because I believe him, Brandon Graham, and Nolan Smith Jr. will be the three edges, the three premier edges on that team. Bryce Huff is insane. His win rate is insane. Speed to power, can bend with the best of them. I think he's going to have a very, very, very good year with the Eagles. And this just is building on the fact that Howie Roseman loves the defensive line, knows that that's where you're going to win, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And getting a guy like Bryce Huff is absolutely incredible for this team. They just keep getting better on that D-line. And if you think about this group, Bryce Huff, Brandon Graham, even though he's older, he's still playing at a high caliber level. Nolan Smith Jr. going into his second year. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. I mean, that is a hellacious type of D-line that you got to go through in Philadelphia. 3-year, $51.1 million. He's the highest paid non-QB undrafted free agent in NFL history. So shout out to him. When you work hard, dreams come true and you get what you deserve. So I've seen him with the Jets. He's wrecked games before out of nowhere in spotted situations. Now he's going to get a prominent role on that defense, I believe, as a starting edge. If not right behind Brandon Graham, or Brandon Graham is the one that spells out him, or Nolan Smith. I think him and Nolan Smith are going to be two very, very good edges for the Eagles for a very long time. The Rams sign Jonah Jackson, like I said, from the Lions. The guard, 3 years, $51 million, $34 million guaranteed. Gotta protect Matthew Stafford as he gets older. Put in a guard there that protected Jared Goff last year. Very, very good sign for the Rams. It allows for possible freedom in the draft for the Rams. Whether they'll go a new quarterback or something like that. But absolutely incredible signing for for Rams to protect Matthew Stafford going into his later years of his career. Okay. The Jaguars, they signed Darnell Savage to a 3-year deal, as well as Gabe Davis. The Saints, free agent Zach Bond, the linebacker, he's to sign a 1-year deal with the Eagles, so that's a prove-it deal there. Carlton Davis goes from the Bucs to the Lions. A really good trade here for the Lions, adds more depth to that back end, a lockdown corner. Really, really good signing for the Lions. The back end has been iffy the last few years. You put a good corner there. And Carlton Davis, I think that he'll do great things in the Dan Campbell defense and that Aaron defense. Alohi Gilman, the Chargers, they signed him to a new deal. Their green terms. Marcus Davenport, the former Saints, the former Saints D end, he's signing with the Lions. So back to D. Aaron Glenn, 1 year deal, approved deal. Put him on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson. Give somebody else, give somebody else like something to think about instead of just focusing on Aiden. Very good. Stays in the NFC. But I think that it's a deal that for Marcus should look at as, okay, let me move myself here, get like 10 to 12 sacks, and maybe myself a deal next year, either from the Lions if I do good, which they have a propensity to play players, or from another team. So good signing by Marcus because he signed with his old DC, and when he was, I believe, his D-line coach at the Vikings. But very, very good signing for the Lions there of getting stronger on the D-line, especially on the edge. The Browns signed Big Z there, a 2-year contract worth over $23 million. You got to keep that D-line back with him and Myles Garrett. It's just a problem to deal with when they're both healthy. I think that this is a great signing. This will keep that defense at the top for a couple more years because Myles Garrett is still in his prime. Darius Smith is not slowing down. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous re-signing. Smart move by the Browns. Matt Wilson, the former Patriots linebacker, has agreed with the Arizona Cardinals. 3 years, $12.75 million worth of $15 million. Matt Wilson is a Patriot linebacker, smart, good tackler, rangy. I think this is a good signing for the Arizona Cardinals and defense for again. The former Browns linebacker Anthony Walker has agreed to terms with the Dolphins, so I guess he's going to take Jerome Baker's spot. It's one deal, prove a deal. Very nice. Okay, very, very, very nice, I guess. Anthony Walker, I've seen him play well. We'll see how he does with the Dolphins. The Commanders steal the Panthers' best linebacker, Frankie Louvu, 3 years, maximum $36 million. Carolina wanted him back, but just couldn't close the gap. That means he wanted too much. He felt like his market value was higher. It was. He's going to the Commanders, and now Dan Quinn is really building himself a legit defense from the 32nd defense last year that team was. Dan Quinn is building himself a very, very good defense in that NFC NFC East that he's gonna be proud of and has something to work with. The deal with Teron Armstead is done. The numbers never came out for some reason. But Teron Armstead is back for the 2024 season. D tackle Justin Jones has agreed to terms with the Arizona Cardinals. 3 years, $30.1 million, $19.75 million guaranteed. They need a D tackle. They couldn't stop the run last year either. So this is a very, very good signing for Rich Gannon and the Cardinals. The Titans signed Awuzie Shidobi. Awuzie from the Bengals gave him a 3-year deal. He's one of the most underrated DBs in the league. He's a really good cover corner. The Titans needed some. They lost Sean Murphy Bunting. You know, they needed a corner. They got a Woozier. I think that's a good signing there. Will Lutz, who agreed earlier in the day with terms with Jacksonville, changed his mind. It's hilarious. He changed his mind after saying he was going to go to Jacksonville. He's going right back to the Denver Broncos. So the Jaguars still need a kicker. Okay. 49ers are signing Leonard Floyd from the Bills, the pass rusher, to a 2-year, $20 million deal. This is a classic 49er move. Get a veteran edge rusher that has had a lot of success, and put him in the system with in the Kyle Shanahan defense, and I think he's just gonna flourish there. There's too many superstars on that defense: Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. You know, you're gonna lose Eric Armstead, I believe, but you have Javon Hargrave. So I think overall this is a good signing. He had 10.5 sacks last year. He tied for his career high, so he's coming off a really good season. 2 years, $20 million. Really good for the 49ers to keep bolstering that defensive line. 2 years, $20 million worth of up to 24. He gets $12 million guaranteed in year 1. Pretty good. Another quarterback domino. The Raiders signed Gardner Minshew from the Colts to a 2-year, $25 million deal that includes $15 million guaranteed. What I'm thinking here, this is a true quarterback competition between him and Aiden O'Connell. Now, if I'm them, I draft a quarterback. But in how the landscape is looking right now, putting this competition to Aiden O'Connell maybe makes him better, because I believe Aiden O'Connell could win the job out of training camp against Gardner Minshew. But we shall see. I believe in Aiden O'Connell, but them signing Gardner Minshew is clearly a sign of telling him, hey, we're going to bring in some competition in here. Let's make each other better, and may the best man win. This is a chance for Gardner Minshew to gain that glory again that he had in the Jaguars when he was starting. He did a good job in backup role starting this past year after Anthony Richardson went down for the Colts. So overall, I think it's a good signing for the Raiders. And it's a good move process-wise when it comes to picking your starting quarterback. It's not the highest of the high, but if you are going to draft one, you know, I don't think you would, because Aiden O'Connell's going into year 2. But if you were going to draft one, you already have 2 in place that can take the reins until the young kid that you draft is ready. If not, it's Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, and I think that would be a very good competition. Hopefully O'Connell wins it and can build on what he did a little bit last year. The Bucs signed Greg Gaines, the D tackle, 1 year, $3.5 million. Little prove-it deal there for the D line. All-pro special teams player Devin Duvernay and wide receiver for the Ravens has struck a deal with the Jaguars. Now, the reason why this is important is because he's also a burner. So they have Gabe Davis, which is kind of in the same mold, but Gabe Davis, I believe, is a little bit taller than Devin Duvernay. They can use Devin Duvernay as their returner, but also use him in a package with Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Gabe Davis. They have a lot of it's malleable, that receiving core. Is it top tier? I don't think so, but at least it's malleable, and you can get a lot of different formations and do a lot of different things with those guys that Doug Peterson is going to like a lot. Okay, it's a 2-year, $8.5 million base with an offensive upside to 12.5. That's pretty good for Devin Duvernay. The Packers, remember they signed Josh Jacobs. To get rid of Aaron Jones at his age and then get Josh Jacobs, I think is pretty good. They have a really good line, young team. He can catch the balls out the backfield. He can also play deep into December when you need those hard-earned yards. So I think it's a good signing for the Packers. They keep getting a little bit better. The deal is 4 years, so a long-term deal, $48 million. Pretty good for Josh Jacobs. I think that he'll excel there. Him and A.J. Dillon, I think Josh Jacobs is definitely the one. I don't think it's going to be by committee anymore. I think Josh Jacobs is going to be the one, but him and A.J. Dillon, both being young, should solidify that backfield. The Texans have agreed with Mike Ford, the DB, 2 years, $4.5 million. Pretty good. The Bengals are signing Geno Stone, the safety from in division again. From the Ravens, 2 years, $15 million deal, $6 million signing bonus. You know, steal a guy from the Ravens, add it to your defense. You just lost Awuzie. You add him because you lost Bates last year. So, very good signing for the Bengals there, and also taking away from the rival. The Colts re-sign Grover Stewart, their D tackle, to a 3-year, $39 million deal. Keep the center of that D line solidified. Got your run stopper there. Very good deal for the Colts. The Steelers signed punter Cameron Johnston from the Texans, and he'll replace Presley Harvin as the Steelers punter. The Giants, to replace Saquon, they give Devin Singletary from the Texans a 3-year, $6.5 million deal worth up to $19.5 million. So he's a Giant, and he's going to be their number one starting running back next year. We'll see how Devin Motor Singletary does at the Giants when he has no blocking, unlike he had at the Bills, where at the Texans, where there was some pretty good blocking, not a lot, but better blocking that there was in the Giants. Xavier McKinney goes from the Giants, signs a 4-year deal, $68 million to go to Green Bay. They lose Darnell Savage, bringing Xavier McKinney in. Perfect plug and play. Good safety, hard hitter, good in coverage. Very good signing for the Green Bay Packers, just steadily getting better, replacing what they lose. Very, very smart strategy from the Green Bay Packers because they have such a young team. He gets $25 million in year one, which is pretty good. For $17 a year per average for Xavier McKinney. So, pretty good player, gets paid pretty well. Texans Okuda, $6 million value. We talked about that. The Texans are also expected to sign Danico Autry to a 2-year, $10 million deal. He's a veteran, played for the Colts for a long time, has been playing for the Tennessee Titans. I think he's going to add a little bit of veteran leadership to that D-line that's so young. And they lost a big piece of that. We'll talk about it later. So, but shout out to Houston getting a D tackle to solidify the middle of that D line with a veteran presence. 2 years, $10 million. Not bad for Danico Autry. The Robert Hunt signing is a 5-year, $100 million deal with $63 million guaranteed. We couldn't pay that. Okay. The Dolphins are working to get into cap compliance. Remember, we were the last one. We were 32nd. We were the most over the cap. They converted Jalen Ramsey's contract, clearing $19.912 million in cap space. Probably just made it into a signing bonus to get it off the cap. The funny thing about Green Bay is that Aaron Jones signs a 4-year deal, $48 million, $13 million guaranteed in March of 2021. And in March of 2024, Josh Jacobs signs a 4-year deal, $48 million, $12.5 million guaranteed with the Green Bay Packers. And that's the running back market in a nutshell. It hasn't moved. It's still the same. The Packers released David Bakhtiari, longtime Packer, best friend of Aaron Rodgers. Now people are saying, will he retire? Will he go to the Jets? We shall see. If he's healthy, he's one of the best left tackles in the game, but he hasn't been healthy. That knee has been bothering him the last 3 years, and it has been tough for him to stay on the field, so we'll see what happens there. Sean Murphy-Bunting, 3 years, $17.4 million with the Cardinals. Talked about that. Burns, another big signing. Okay, big. You're waiting. What were the Carolina Panthers going to do? This is your best player. You had already traded Jim McCaffrey and your best players before. Guess what? Trading him to the Giants. Add him to Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence. That's insane. 5 years, $150 million contract, $87.5 million guaranteed. He gets his first big contract. Carolina sends the Giants send back a second and a fifth rounder. And now the Burns is the second highest paid D end in the league. The Giants, Brian Daboll is trying to he's trying to solidify that D line, man. He knows that the Eagles have D linemen. He knows that the Cowboys have D linemen. He has to catch up. He knows that Dan Quinn is not going to sit pat. So getting a top of the line, top tier, all pro caliber, D end in Brian Burns to pair him up with a young Kayvon Thibodeau going into year 3 is absolutely incredible with Dexter. That D-line is going to be scary this upcoming year. Shout out to Brian Burns on the deal, and shout out to the Giants on making it happen with the trade. Low value too. I thought they were gonna get a first round. I thought they were gonna need to ask for a first round pick, and the Giants send a 2 and a 5th. So very good value as well for the trade. The Darnell Savage trade to Jacksonville is 21 with $12.5 million guaranteed. The package was So I also bookmarked this tweet from Ari Mirov, because this is how you know that the value that the Giants got in the trade is incredible, and the Panthers essentially, if you think about it, got fleeced. The Panthers previously rejected a package for Brian Burns from the Rams last year of 2 first-round picks, 24 and 25, and a second-round pick in 2023. From the Rams, and they declined. They rejected that package. Burns held his own negotiations and got what he wanted from the Giants, and the Panthers had to settle for less in a trade. That's what happens when you think you're when you overvalue a player and people are giving you 2 first-round picks and a second. That's very valuable. You got to let go at that point. 2 first-round picks is something that could change your franchise, especially the Panthers. Looking back at another feast. Lloyd Cushenberry, the offensive tackle formerly of the Broncos, he signs with the Tennessee Titans. Got to protect Will Levis. $50 million over 4 years, 12.5 APY, third amongst centers. $26 million guaranteed, $30 million total. $30 million cash flow over 2 years, most ever for a center. Once Kelsey retires, other people become most paid ever. Tennessee Titans need to protect Will Levis, need a center. Really good signing for them, good value, and this should make Will Levis very happy to have a center that can protect him up the middle. Austin Eckler, remember we talked about the Chargers being so much over the cap and the players that they possibly have to move on from. Austin Eckler's the one that gets, they've been talking about this. They were talking about trading him last year and that they don't want to pay him. So the Commanders, Dan Quinn, goes get Austin Eckler. If you're going to draft Jaden Daniels, this is perfect. A guy off the backfield that can catch 100 balls, can run in between the tackles, home run hitter, a touchdown machine. He scored 6 touchdowns in 7 seasons with the Chargers. So I think that this is great for the Commanders. They were always weak with Antonio Gibson. Brian Robinson is good, but, you add another big playmaker to that backfield. Austin Eckler's 2-year deal with $11.43 million. You get him out of value. Very good for the Commanders. The Cameron Johnson's deal for the Steelers, the punter, 3 years, $9 million. Pretty good. Jordan Brooks, the linebacker, really good linebacker. Has agreed terms with the Dolphins. I think this is our Jerome Baker replacement. So shout out to the Dolphins. Not singling our hands. Jerome Baker. Okay, let's go get a young, talented, proven linebacker, Jordan Brooks. I like it. 3 years, $30 million, good value. And we solidify our middle linebacker spot. Very nice. Texans go after another nice linebacker to put against Denzel Perrin because they lost Blake Cashman. He's shot from the Titans. 3 year, $34 million to the Texans. Kind of, so back, makes that linebacker more back solid after losing Blake Cashman to the Vikings. Very good signing for the Texans. Aaron Jones intends to sign with the Vikings. It's a 1 year deal, $7 million. I keep very, very good at the Vikings in division. Again, these guys cannibalize each other basically for players, and have to face each other twice a year and face the guy that wants revenge on for not getting paid. I don't know why they do that, but he's going to the Vikings. Madison probably suits over. I believe Aaron becomes the one, and along with Tyson Chandler. And good value for the Vikings. 1 year, $7 million. Prove it. If he's good, they'll pay him. I think not. He moves on, becomes a backup, and retires happy later. Daquan Jones agreed to terms with the Bills, giving him a 2 year deal worth $16 million, $10.5 million guaranteed. The max value is $18 million. Good for the interior of that defensive line. Very good for the Bills to keep that attack because they need to stop the run. If they cannot stop the run, they will lose again. That's what happened this past year. The Jaguars cornerback Darius Williams, $4 million, number 31. He signed with the Rams. It's going to be a 3 year deal. The numbers are not come here, but it's a 3 year deal. He won a Super Bowl, so he's going right back to the Rams from the Jaguars. Good corner in that Rams system. He's going to do great. So good signing for the Rams in that defense. The Vikings are expected to give Sam Darnold a 1 year, $10 million contract. I think that they're going to draft quarterbacks. I just believe that if they have a shot at JJ or maybe Bo Nix, that they will pull the trigger. Sam Darnold is a good competition for Jaren Hall, but I believe that if they're there and draft, I believe that they'll pull the trigger. Okay, Kenneth Murray, former Chargers linebacker. He's going to the Titans. They just lost Al-Shair. They replace him. He's going to the Titans. 2 years, $15 million, $18 million max value. I think it's a good sign for him. Kenneth Murray's a good rangy linebacker. He'll do great in that defense. I believe he'll be their middle linebacker starting. So good signing for the Titans. They lose Al-Shair. They bring in Kenneth Murray. Pretty replacement. Aaron Rodgers has a new backup. It's Tyrod Taylor from New York to New York. Doesn't have to move. That's pretty good for him. Doesn't have to at all. Plays at the same stadium. Just changes his uniform. It'll be a good backup for them. Zach Wilson, they're trying to get rid of him, obviously. They're not going to go Simeon. They're not going to go with any of that. So Tyrod Taylor, proven backup, mobile, can get the ball to get Wilson, and give the Brees Hall, no problems, follows the system. I think that this is a good signing as a backup for the Jets. Top available free agents still: Daniel Hunter, Patrick Queen, Calvin Ridley, Derrick Henry, Tyron Smith, DJ Reader, Marquise Brown, Darnell Mooney, which we'll talk about because that just went down today. Kevin Zeitler, Stephon Gilmore, Fleur, Cameron Curl, Chase Young, Justin Simmons. The only one that has gotten signed so far today has been Darnell Mooney. He went to Atlanta. We'll get into the details of that deal actually just while I'm recording the pod. The structure for the Brian Burns deal is that he gets $43.5 this year. He gets $66.25 over the first 2 years and $90 million over the first 3 years. It's an impressive deal for him because he's been looking that type of deal for over a year now, and he deserves it. Super Bowl champion, the guy that backed up and Joe Tooney went down in the Super Bowl, Nick Allegretti, is signing with the Commanders, 3 years, $16 million. He suffered a UCL tear, a torn UCL in the second quarter in his elbow. He played through it. I think this is a good signing for the Commanders. Got to protect Jaden Daniels. You have to draft Jaden Daniels. We have to talk about the QB 1, 2, 3. It has to be Caleb, Jaden, Drake. You cannot take Drake and watch Jaden succeed as a Patriot, and you have to sit Drake May to make his footwork work in the NFL. You have to sit him a year. I think that you have to draft Jaden Daniels. He's way more pro-ready, especially footwork-wise. You have weapons to make him successful. You're protecting him. So I think you have to take Jaden Daniels. Shout out to Nick for getting a good deal after being backup to Joe Tooney. 3 years, $16 million. Pretty good to be the starting guard for the Commanders. Pretty nice. The Commanders' free agency so far: Austin Eckler, Tyler Biadasz, Frankie Lou, Armstrong, Nick Allegretti, Zach Ertz, which we'll talk about, and then Brandon McManus. Pretty good for Dan Quinn. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, the Jets, well, look at the connection. The connection is 49ers, Robert Saleh, Javon Kinlaw, the other D tackle next to Hargrave, next to Eric Armstead, going to the Jets. Really good. You put him next to Quinn Williams. You have two players in the middle. A guy he could stop the run, get after the quarterback. Really good for the Jets to solidify that D line interior. Really, really good 1 year to join Robert Saleh at the Jets. Pretty good signing for the Jets there. Pretty good signing. If we go through the offensive linemen that have gotten paid, you have Leonard Dickerson with 4 years, $84 million extension with the Eagles. Robert 5 years, $100 million with Panthers. Kevin Dotson has 3 years, $48 million back to the Rams. Lloyd Cushenberry, 4 years, $50 million with the Titans. Damian Lewis, 3 years, $50 million with the Panthers. John Runyon, 3 years, $30 million with the Giants. Tyler Biotis, 3 years, $30 million with the Commanders. That's the offensive lineman getting paid. Finally, they'll go help Aaron Rodgers a little bit. They go get John Simpson, the Jets do, to a 2 year, $18 million, up to $18 million. Guy played, Simpson started all 19 games last year for Baltimore left guard, where he's expected to play in New York. Protect that interior line. That's the problem that caused his Achilles rupture last year. The interior line did not hold up on that play, and everything's history after that. Good signing. John Simpson has played well. Good run blocker. Has played for Baltimore. Knows how to unblock Breece Hall and stuff like that. I think it's a good sign for the Jets. And to protect Aaron Rodgers. Very good. The Panthers are expected to sign the guard out of the Seahawks, Dan Lewis, to a 4 year, $53 million, 26.2 fully guaranteed. So they're trying to protect Young. Again, the interior offensive line. It's important. Guard is important because these D tackles like Chris Jones, Aaron Donald, Tony Willis, Dexter Lawrence, guys are serious. Okay, these guys, Christian Wilkins, these guys are superstars, and you need good offensive line in the interior, good guards in order to protect your interior of the offensive line. Where if there's penetration in the interior, your play is dead. No matter if it's a run, pass, play action, it does not matter. Your play is dead because that is the quick path to the quarterback. Okay, so shout out to the Panthers on trying to protect Bryce Young and building something around him, at least line-wise. Brandon McManus, a year, $3.6 million with Commanders. Big leg, taking the wind. Good signing for the former Bronco. So the Jaguars signed Gabe Davis, 3 years, $39 million. Devin Duvernay, 2 years, $12.5 million. Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, Marquise Brown, Darnell Mooney, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Curtis Samuel. All quiet so far. The wide receiver market has been moving, and it's still not moving that much. Okay? As of right now, as of today. So free agency, day one, yesterday, was Kirk Cousins to the Falcons, $180 million. Brian Burns to the Giants, $150 million. Christian Wilkes to the Raiders, $110 million. Robert Hunt to the Panthers, $100 million. Jonathan Grenard, which was the one with the Texans, the D end, that was the partner to Will Anderson. He goes to the Vikings. Another really good signing by the Vikings. Going to add a lot of ton of next Daniel Hunter, a lot of good edge player for the Vikings. Very, very, very good, solidifying that D line. Xavier McKinney to the Packers, $68 million. Bryce Huff to the Eagles, $51.1 million. Josh Jacobs to the Packers, $48 million. Gabe Davis to the Jaguars, $39 million. Saquon to the Eagles, $37.75 million. Tony Pollard to the Titans to replace Derrick Henry, $0.4 million. But him and Tyler Spears are kind of in the same elk, so I don't know who the power back or if they're going to draft one. DeAndre Swift to the Bears, $24 million. Russell Wilson to Steelers for $1.2 million, but he's getting paid $38 million on back end from Broncos. The Vikings are re-signing offensive tackle Blake Brandel for 3 years, $11.25 million. Bengals released Joe Mixon, which is very interesting, but Zach Moss is going to be the replacement. 2 years, $8 million of Bengals, includes $4.525 payout in year one. Joe Mixon is a really good running back. I don't understand why you wouldn't I don't understand why you wouldn't pay him, but you're getting a discount on that, so that's very good. With Zach Moss, he played well last year, so I think it's pretty good for he catches the ball out, still has speed and run to the tackle, so I think it's a good thing, but it's not Joe Mixon. 14 hours ago, Jacoby Brissett went to the Patriots for a 1 year, $8 million. They're gonna have to go. They have to draft Drake May. There's no way you don't get Jacoby Brissett and you're going to be our starter for this year without a plan for this year. So I think they're drafting Drake May and they're just putting him behind Jacoby Brissett to learn how footwork and how it all works. Leonard Williams goes back to the Seahawks, 3 years, $64 $0.5 million. That's very good. Keep the D line intact, especially in the interior. The guard and tackle Michael Unwenu goes back to the Patriots for 3 years, $57 million. So they keep their offensive line intact. Jair, we talked about 3 years, $34 million to the Texans. Jordan Hicks, the linebacker, to the Browns. 2 years, $8 million. No Fant back to the Seahawks. 2 years, $21 million. That's a very good. That's a very good thing. Maybe Michael Pittman will be there. Depending on how the draft falls and what they want to do. Townsend goes to the Texans after winning 2 or 3 Super Bowls with the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 years, $6 million. Very good for Tommy, former Gator. I love Tommy. Thank you for what you did for the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're going to do the same thing for C.J. Stroud and the Texans. DeAndre Gross-Matos goes to the 49ers, 2 years and $18 million. This is another guy that'll probably be good next year, and people will be like, oh, where'd he come from? It's like the 49ers system. The cornerback Ronald Darby goes to the Jaguars after they lose Darius Williams. Pretty good signing, 2 years, $10 million. Simon Takitaki goes to the Patriots from the Browns, 2 years, $6.5 million. That's a sneaky good signing. And center Aaron Brewer to the Dolphins, 3 years, $21 million. Okay, we got a center. Nice. I like it. Leonard Williams, 3 years, $64.5 million. He went back to the Seahawks. Like I said, keep that D line, very, very, very locked down. Let's see here. The Bills restructured the contract for Josh Allen, converting much of his 2024 compensation into a signing bonus, making $16.7 million in cap space in 2024. So that's very good. That's why you make a big contract that you can restructure with a lot of years for a quarterback. Onwenu is 3 years, $57 million, $38 million guaranteed, which is pretty good, and 22.5 signing. So that's pretty good for the O-lineman. Talked about Marcus Davenport. 1 year, $10.5 million, $6.5 million base. The running back landscape went nuts. Saquon to the Eagles, Josh Jacobs to the Packers, Austin Eckler to the Commanders, Tony Pollard to the Titans, DeAndre Swift to the Bears, Devin Singletary to the Giants, Gus Edwards to the Chargers, and Antonio Gibson to the Patriots. Now you understand why they brought in Austin Eckler. You keep Brian Robinson young, and then you bring in Austin Eckler. Very, very good signing. Gus Edwards from the Ravens goes to the Chargers. Today, Derrick Henry just went to the Ravens. That's breaking news right now. It happened about 5 minutes ago. So we'll talk about that. Some NBA news real quick. Sengun is not injured severely. so he'll be good. Also, the Orlando Magic gave Jamal Mosley, their coach, a 4-year extension. This had to be done. They've been playing great. They're in the top 6 in the East. Nobody expected them to be this good this year. So shout out to Jamal Mosley on a hell of a job coaching that young. While I've been talking, because a lot of stuff has happened while I've been talking. Okay. So while I've been talking, the things that have happened is Derrick Henry, 2 years, $16 million worth up to $20 million, $9 million fully guaranteed to the Baltimore Ravens. We talked about this, I believe, last pod or the pod before that this would have been a really good signing for the Ravens. Get a power back. You have Keaton Mitchell, that is your speed back. And this adds a level of running capability that, if J.K. Dobbins comes back, the Ravens are dangerous, because you give it to Derrick Henry, and he's going to maul you down in the third and fourth quarter, and you still have to worry about Lamar Jackson. So it's and then the passing game. Very, very good signing for the Ravens. Shout out to Derrick Henry going to a place where he'll be loved and happy and possibly, maybe, win a Super Bowl. Maybe. He's definitely going to a contender. So that's Derrick Henry. The next thing that happened after that, Derrick Henry's going nuts right now. Darius Williams, the cornerback, that went back to the Rams. He got 3 years, $22.5 million, up to $30 million. That's the contract. New England is pushing to sign Calvin Ridley. Well, that would be interesting. Jacoby Brissett and him, I guess, would be interesting, but you keep him for Drake May years after. That would be very interesting. And other than that, Joe Mixon to the Texans. Very good signing for the Texans. They have Dameon Pierce. They lost Devin Singletary. You bring in Joe Mixon, can catch the ball out the backfield, can break tackles. Very, very good for C.J. Stroud to have a guy he can trust back there, a Pro Bowler, a guy who's done it before. Guy who's been in big moments in the playoffs, played in a Super Bowl. Very, very good signing for the Texans. D'Amico and Bobby Slowick are doing a masterful job, and Jack Easterby is doing a masterful job over there at the Texans. Darnell Mooney goes to Atlanta. I mean, I guess you put him next to Drake London. And then you have Kyle Pitts, him and Drake London. I like it. And Bijan. I like it. Now, I believe what this does, the reason the Bears allowed this to happen is because the Bears are thinking of whoever drops to them at that number 9 spot, whether it's Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors, they're taking. And Atlanta is not going to take wide receiver in the draft. So they have a safety buffer there between Atlanta and the Bears that they can get. They let Darnell Mooney go, which is pretty good. He's a number 2 and everything, but you have a chance at a number 1 to pair up with DJ Moore at the 9th pick with Rome Odunze, because I think Malik Neighbors is going to the Giants at 6. I believe. Okay. Moves from today. Vikings are signing Aaron Jones. Him and Alexander Madison. I don't know if Alexander Madison will be there, but Tyson Chandler will be there. That's a good for a young quarterback that that will be probably like Jaron Hall, or if you draft Bo Nix, or maybe you go after JJ. For a young running back, for a young quarterback that I think Aaron Jones is a good, solid veteran presence in that backfield that will allow you to kind of ease in the young quarterback in. Now, Sam Darnold is not a young quarterback, but is also somebody that would like somebody to be confident in the backfield And Aaron Jones to the Vikings makes perfect sense. So shout out to them. We talked about Joe Mixon to the Texans. The Browns will sign Jameis Winston as a backup, obviously, but they don't want to go through the same thing they went last year through the four quarterbacks. So what they did was basically, all right, let's get a guy who can throw far, throw touchdowns, similar to Deshaun. If Deshaun gets hurt, we have a good contingency plan that can still throw the ball to Amari Cooper and Njoku, and Judy, hand the ball off to Nick Chubb, play towards our defense, and give us a chance to win games, even if we don't have our number one quarterback. So that's good for the Browns. Falcons, Darnell Mooney, Darius Williams. The Commanders will sign Marcus Mariota. So at this point, I think that Jaden Daniels is a done deal. Marcus Mariota, you get a backup, I guess, experience and everything, but, I guess he's a true pro, but I think Jaden Daniels is where you go here. There is no doubt in my mind where you go, but Jaden Daniels at number 2. Okay. Will Lutz signs a 2-year, $8.4 million deal with the Broncos to be their kicker from the Saints. Zach Bond, we talked about. John Simpson, we talked about, the guard. The offensive arsenal for the Atlanta Falcons is Kirk Cousins, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts. Pretty good. Probably, actually, looking at that now, Atlanta might add another receiver. Got to watch out for Romadunze there for the Bears if the Falcons decide to go that route. But I think that they should draft Dallas Turner, the edge out of Alabama. They just need help there. A signing that we didn't go over because it happened like an hour ago. Free agent Shaq Barrett from Tampa is going to Miami on a 1-year deal worth $9 million. Pretty good. We got an edge rusher. Old, but, veteran. While Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb get back into it. So I think it's a good signing and just a little bit more help. We've lost a lot more than we've gotten, though. Let me tell you. Darnell Mooney's a 3-year, $39 million deal with the Falcons. $26 million guaranteed, so a good payday for the young receiver. For Kirk Cousins, gives him that KJ Osborne type of receiver. Not a Jordan Addison type, but definitely not a JJ type. But very good. Nyheim Hines is signing a 1-year deal with the Browns, worth $3.5 million. And other than that, that is pretty much it for the free agent market as it stands as of right now. That is what it is. Mike Gesicki signing a 1-year deal with the Bengals. $3.5 million 1 year. That's pretty good coming from the Patriots. The Jameis deal is a 1-year, $8.7 million deal with the Browns. To be their backup. And Sam Howell and Marcus Mariota plus Jaden Daniels. This sounds pretty good. 1 year, $6 million. Upside to $10 million. That's solid, excuse me. And yeah, that is it for the NFL free agency. Moving on to the NBA. Curry is fine. He will play, I believe, later this week. Sengun averted disaster, but got a really bad sprained knee and a bone bruise, but he averted disaster from tearing anything. There's no structural damage. Brunson came back, and Scoot came back, finally starting again. So those things out of and Benedict Mathurin hurt his shoulder. He's out for the year for the Indiana Pacers. It's a shame. They were going to go to the playoffs with him. I think he was going to do good, but He's out for the season. We'll see him next year. I like that kid. All right, so to the standings. 50-14 is Boston. They are 8-2 in their last 10. Milwaukee's 8.5 games back. So the East for number 1 seed is done. They have a 1-game lead on the Cleveland Cavaliers that are 9.5 games back. Now, the Milwaukee Bucks are kind of on a tear. They're on 7-3 in their last 10. Damian and Giannis are playing really well together right now. And right now, the Cleveland are 5-5 because they are getting carried by Darius Garland. The thing about Boston that I want everybody to know and pay attention. Okay, this is gonna creep up in the playoffs. Every time I watch that team, they do not have a killer instinct. I don't feel the Denver Nuggets killer instinct. I don't feel, the Warriors killer instinct, the Lakers killer instinct. I don't feel like they're going to strangle you and just finish you off. If they're leading by a lot, they'll keep the lead. They'll keep running down threes and win comfortable. But in a tight game, I don't feel that killer instinct in the last 5 minutes of the game. And it's been the whole season and a couple years where I just don't feel it. I feel like that's going to be their downfall, even if they make it to the finals against Denver. That killer instinct is going to rear its ugly head. Just putting teams away that you should. The Knicks have gone through a slide. They're 13 games back. They're in the 4th seed. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Brunson came back, so I expect that to get better. Anunoby is going to come back, I believe, later this week. I believe tomorrow or Thursday he's going to finally play after missing, I think, like 17 games or something like that. So that should give them a boost and start maybe. I don't think they'll get to 3 because they're 13 to 9.5. They're 4.5 games back, but they'll make a push for sure. Orlando, remember they gave Jamal Mosley the extension. They're 7-3 in their last 10. I told you they were going to start picking it up. They're 13.5 back, half a game back of the Knicks. So if the Knicks slip, Orlando's right there for the taking for that 4th spot, which would be incredible this season. Philadelphia's 14 games back, half a game back and a full game back of 4th. They're 4-6 in the last 10. Him and Tyrese Maxey is out of concussion protocol. I expect them to be back in the lineup. And maybe they try to make some type of push. Indiana is 14.5 games back. Just lost Benedict Mathurin for the year. 6-4 in their last 10. They're right there. They're hanging on that 7th seed. Miami's 15 games back. Half a game back of Indiana. A game back of Philadelphia for the 6th seed. We're 6-4 in our last 10, but we've lost 3 in a row. I don't like that. Okay, I do not like that. Chicago's 19.5 games back. They're not going to catch us. They're at 9. They're probably going to stay at 9 because Atlanta's 21 games back. So the East is pretty much set as it is right now. The only thing that can change is 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's it. That's all that can change. 9 and 10 are the same. Sorry about my bird. And 1 and 2 and 3 are staying where they are. For the West, still a crapshoot. OKC's number 1 right now. They're 8-2 in their last 10. 1-3 in a row. Denver's number 2 right now. Half a game back. 9-1 in their last 10. 1-3 in a row. Denver looks very dangerous right now. Very, very dangerous. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray are playing at all NBA type levels, MVP type of level. Denver is going after that number 1 seed, I'm pretty sure. Minnesota has fallen to a game and a half back of number 1 because of once they lost Karl Anthony Towns. It's going to be on Anthony Edwards. They've 5-5 in their last 10, lost 2 in a row. They're struggling right now. They got to put it together. The Clippers, 3.5 games back. So 2 games back of Minnesota. They're 5-5 in the last 10. They've kind of struggled a little bit because Kawhi's been out, PG's been out. You got you have Russell's out with the hand, so they're kind of sputtering. New Orleans has been on a tear. 6 games back, 2.5 games back of the 5th seed. They've won 4 in a row, 7-3 in their last 10. Really, really good. They're playing really good basketball right now. Zion's playing really good. Trey Murphy has found his stroke again. It's looking very good for New Orleans right now. Still my dark horse team to come out of the West. Number 6 is Phoenix. They're healthy again. 7.5 games back, a game and a half back of New Orleans. They're 5-5 in their last 10, but they're finally healthy. Bradley Beal, Booker, and Kevin Durant are all back in the lineup. We'll see what they do in the remaining 15 games of the season. Sacramento's been playing well. They're a game back of the 6th seed, 6-4 in their last 10. It's going to be a battle there. Dallas is tied with them, 8.5 games back, also a game back of 6. They're won 3 in a row. They're 5-5 in their last 10 after going through that little tough spell. The Lakers are back at 9, at a game and a half back of Sacramento for the 7th seed, 5-5 in their last 10, 3 wins in a row. Okay, and Golden State, after losing Curry for 3 games, they've lost 2 of those to bad teams, and won yesterday against the against the San Antonio Spurs. But they're a game back of 9. And like 3 games, 2.5, 3 games back of 8. It's looked like they're gonna be 10 unless they make a super push. They're 6-4 in the last 10. The Rockets, they're not going nowhere. They're 16 games back, 5 games back of the Warriors. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Utah, 17 back, so they can switch with Houston. Not that this is gonna matter or anything. They're out. Memphis is 3-7 in the last 10. They're out. Portland's out. Scoot's finally playing again, but they're out of it. San Antonio was eliminated. Wemby's going nuts still. He's going to win the Rookie of the Year for sure. And Washington is done. Charlotte is 2-8 in their last 10. Washington has won 2 in a row, but they're 2-8 in their last 10. 39 games back. 11 wins. Detroit won yesterday. They're 3-7 in their last 10. They're 39 games back. They haven't been eliminated, but Washington has. I don't know how that works, but those are garbage teams anyway. So that's the landscape for the NBA. That's the episode. Was a long one. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Free agency still going on until tomorrow, where the salary caps has to be met. We're still waiting for Justin Fields. We're still waiting for Calvin Ridley. Supposedly the Patriots are in on that. We'll see. T. Higgins, what's going to happen with him? The Justin Jefferson contract, when's that coming down? So we have a couple more pieces that have to be put in place and everything like that. But it was a crazy, crazy movement cycle for the NFL, like it is every year, this year especially. Really exciting. The NBA is getting to the nitty-gritty right now. Last 17 to 15 games here to set up seeding, to then we get to the nitty-gritty in the playoffs. But yeah, Formula One looks like Verstappen's going to win all year unless something happens. NASCAR's looking good. Like I said, go watch NHRA if you can. It's an amazing experience. You're going to love it. Thank you for joining us today. I'm El Velez. This has been the Exec Talk episode 89. Like, subscribe, follow me on all my socials. It's all in the descriptions. And I leave you with the outro.
Que todos quieren ser el chamaquito que no puede